G'day off trackers. What are we doing this week, Ash? What's the review?
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, what have I got set up? Are we doing a water bottle? Maybe it's the water bottle we're doing a review on.
I don't know. What are we doing, Dylan?
If you take a look in my hat, I will show you. And look at that. It's a cruiser and a dog. Which one are we reviewing, Ash? The dog or the cruiser?
The dog.
No, we're doing the cruiser. So we got Echo helping us. We've dog sitting this weekend, so we may as well chuck Echo in the back. You want to be part of the review? You want to be part of the review? Yeah, he's not camera shy like you, is he, Ash?
No.
So anyway, yeah, we figured it was about time. How long we had the cruiser? What, 3 years all up with both? Probably somewhere around there, 3 years both cruisers. Yeah.
Yep.
So about 3 years we've owned 70, 79 series. Two of them both pre-DPFs. And we figured we'd do a review on it because there's a lot of sort of myths out there. Do we want to call them bullshit myths that for some reason cruiser owners put out there that just aren't true? I don't know why they put it out there, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just not true about them. We want to basically run through what they're like for full driving. Are they the ultimate tow rig? And I'm going to compare it with the two other vehicles that I think if you're looking at towing, you'd either be looking at what, a 300 series or
Ranger.
Yeah, Ranger. So I'm basically comparing it between those. It'll be the 6-cylinder Ranger, Situate on our dodgy tie-up for our tyre. It'll be, yeah, the 6-cylinder Ranger that we look at, and I'll basically compare some specs with that and run through all the good things with this, the bad things. What else, Ash?
Overall thoughts.
Overall thoughts and the Mythbusters.
Mythbusters.
So should we get into it?
Let's do it.
And one thing I want to point out, if you have any questions on any of the videos that I do, drop a comment below. Are you trying to eat my hat? Drop a comment below. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I reply to all the comments and I like to basically answer any questions. Same with Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and send me messages there. And I'm happy to help push you in the right direction of cars, 12-volt stuff, camping stuff. As you guys know, I've basically got to test a whole bunch of stuff with this roll. So yeah, if you want any information, just shoot me a message on either Instagram or chuck a comment below. Yeah, let's get into it, Ash.
Let's do it.
Caution detected. Take precautions.
These very country props you've got, Dylan. You've had a border collie and now you've got a saddle.
Well, it's your saddle that was sitting inside the back seat and we need to use it. Should I sit on the saddle on the side of the tray?
No, then you're going to buy me a new one.
And do you want to tell people how much these stupid saddles are worth?
That one I got cheap.
Yeah, what's cheap?
I think that was 2.5.
And how much do saddles go for?
Anywhere between that and 15.
15 grand.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't date a horse person. It's a very bloody expensive hobby. Okay, so let's get into the myths, Ash. So I didn't even know how to say your name right then. So, so you're going to call out the myths and then we'll sort of run through them. So,
all right, so
now
I'm doing it. Myth number 1, wheel track not aligned.
Okay, so yeah, basically, Ash, if you want to come to the front, it'll show it really well. So a lot of people should know this, that the 70 series front wheel and rear wheel don't sit in the same position. So if you look down there, you'll actually see the front wheels sticking out and the rear wheels in. So they had to do that because they put in the V8 donk. And once the V8 went in, they needed to basically push the front wheels out and they didn't push the rear wheels out. So what's amazing, everybody carries on about this, yet they're not the only car to do it. And they did it for a reason. They put in the bigger engine and didn't want to have to redesign the whole car. Yet one that I know of, I know there's more out there, but the Mitsubishi Triton, not the latest one, the one before that, I think ML, they did it and they didn't even have a reason. They designed the whole car with that problem. So yeah, they're not the only vehicle to do it. They just seem to be the only one that get picked on. Have we had any dramas with it?
Nope.
So the biggest thing people say is when you're in the sand, your rear wheels don't follow your front wheels. When you're in the sand, Ash, are you going through brand new sand or are you going through wheel tracks?
You go through wheel tracks.
So what's the car do anyway?
Go through wheel tracks.
And it goes all over the shop because they're not your wheel tracks and the wheel tracks you're going through are a different size to your car. So
yeah, that too.
yeah, unless if you're on a beach that hasn't been driven, then you'll get the snaking where you may not. But everywhere else where it's already been driven, man, you're following in wheel tracks, your car's going all over the place, it makes no difference. Technical full drive wheeling, where you're going up sort of rock faces, rock crawling, yeah, it'll make a bit of difference because you're obviously positioning your front wheels in a certain track that you're going to go up and your rears aren't in those exact track. But man, not many people are buying these and doing technical rock crawling, are they?
No, that'd be silly.
Yeah, they're a very expensive car to do that, and they don't have the wheel articulation. So I'm going to say myth busted, it makes no difference. On the highway, I've heard some people say when you're on the highway, the car rocks all over the place. Why the hell would the car do that? You're on tar road, you're not in tracks. It definitely does not move all over the road, does it, Ash?
No.
So myth busted, the
Busted.
wheel alignment is, yeah, not an issue. Next one.
All right, myth number 2, leaf hangers down low.
Yep, so leaf hangers, definitely. It is a weird design that I don't understand why Toyota did it. So if you look under there, with the Cruisers, they actually put the leaf hangers underneath the rear axle, where most of your dual cab utes, they actually put the leaf hangers on top of the rear axle. So yes, they hang down low. What's interesting, when we get into the specs, you're going to see this thing actually has better ground clearance than a lot of the other vehicles. So ground clearance, they basically roll something under the car, find the lowest point. So obviously with your Rangers and your 300s, there's something sitting lower than those leaf hangers. So myth busted.
Myth busted. Busted.
Myth busted.
You're
Next
gonna
one.
Put like, all right, myth number 3.
Come on, man, keep the phone unlocked.
Noisy.
Yeah, so the noise is an interesting one. So I'll put up some print screens that we got. Ash and I went and test drove a couple of those, what are they, small SUVs?
Yep.
So we drove the
MG HS, and then the Mazda
CX-30.
CX-30.
So the CX-30 was louder, so I took a decibel reader and it was louder than this. What was the other one? MG was just a little bit quieter. The difference is this one, you're hearing that donk, you're hearing the of the V8 engine at 80 decibels, versus the other ones, you're hearing the tyres going across the road. And depending on the sound insulation in the car, that tyre noise will either be very annoying or not much. So in the CX-30, where it was louder, it was actually a sort of deeper drone that didn't annoy you, where the MG was more of a higher pitch irritating noise as the tyres went around. So this is basically just the engine you're listening to. You don't hear the tyres whatsoever, so it's up to you. You're either going to hear an engine or you're going to hear tyres, but either way, you're going to be at 100 kilometres an hour, you're going to have 80 decibels, and it's up to you what you want to hear, tyres or an engine. The big difference is low speed, you still have 80 decibels coming out of this engine, where all your other cars at low speed, you won't actually hear the tyres. It drops down to like 50, 60 decibels. So yeah, driving around town, they're definitely louder, but on the highway, every car is pretty much the same across the board. So we're going to call that semi-busted.
Semi-busted.
You need to stop paying attention to the dog, Ash, and get head in the game.
He's in the dam.
Dog, out of the dam. When's the owner coming to get it?
She probably doesn't want to now. All right. Uncomfortable seats, or being uncomfortable to drive.
Yeah, the seats, let's go talk about them, because I reckon they're rippers. So the seating position, you were in this last, weren't you?
Maybe.
Is really high. So from where your feet sit to where your bum is a really good angle, and it's more like you're in an actual truck. So you almost have a right angle in your legs, so you don't get anywhere near as much pain in your hamstring when you're driving, because normally with a traditional car, even a ute, you're more on an angle like that. The seat's closer to the ground, your legs on a more straighter angle, you get sore knees, sore glutes, sore hamstrings, where it doesn't happen in this, does it?
Nope, even though I haven't had sore glutes or hamstrings from another car.
Haven't you?
No.
I used to get it all the way, all the time. So yeah, I reckon the seating position's brilliant. There's no lumbar support, that's a bit annoying. But in saying that, you can just get one of those lumbar support things if you want it, or there's plenty of seat covers now that have an adjustable lumbar support. I honestly don't think the seats are that bad.
No.
And if they are, the upside to a Cruiser, you can just spend the money and get some new ones. They're like, what, $1,500 now for 2 new front seats? Mm-hmm. And fully reupholstered, redone, but I wouldn't bother. I honestly don't have a concern with the seats whatsoever. I reckon they're way better than a lot of other seats out there.
Yep.
Busted.
All right, next one. Stereo doesn't work.
Oh, this is a ripper. Everybody complains about the stereos in these things, yet the MG HS, rubbish. Absolutely horrible, high pitch, horrible. This, no problem. You can hear it over the engine, can't you, Ash?
Yep.
Yep, no problem. So if you sit there going, oh my God, the speakers are going to be rubbish. Yeah, they're tiny, but they work perfectly fine. We haven't upgraded them. We've upgraded the head unit, which you can see. But the speakers are still just the standard 2 in the front and there's none in the rear. And we have no problem. We can hear the radio, we can hear podcasts. So, got no problem with the speakers. Busted!
Turning circle.
Yeah, okay, this one we're not going to bust. It's pretty bad, isn't it, Ash?
Yeah.
And then it makes parking, you've definitely got to get used to parking one of these because of that turning circle. If you turn too late, you're just not going to get in the spot. So it makes them feel a lot bigger than they are, doesn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, unfortunately the turning circle definitely is rubbish. It's not as bad as your American trucks, but it is a hell of a lot worse than all your other dual cab utes. So that one's, yeah, not busted, that one's proven.
Yep. Next one, fuel hungry.
Yeah, this is interesting. So on the highway, no. We get what, 9 litres I think is the best. 9 litres per 100 Ks, which is up there. I think that's the new Ranger's fuel output. So 9 litres per 100 on the highway. Around town, yeah, it's going to chew a lot of gas. It's a V8 engine. If you're constantly stopping and starting, you're going to burn a lot of fuel. Towing, we do, if I'm driving, 20 litres per 100.
Here we go.
And if you're driving, what do we burn?
19.
22. So, and from what I'm hearing from other cars, that's about standard towing. So, again, towing it doesn't seem to make it much worse. Where it does make a difference is if you get a headwind, because they are basically a box. Yeah, the fuel economy definitely changes if you got a headwind or not. But on the highway, no. The big one that I want to point out though is you can only probably go about 95 kilometers an hour. If you push it above that, the car starts revving, you sort of sit around almost 3,000 revs, then you will burn a lot of fuel. So I think people that are saying they're fuel hungry is people that aren't driving them how they're meant to. Now, this is a pre-DPF. If you get post-DPF, they've actually changed the gearbox in it and the 5th gear is a little bit taller. So when you're on the highway, you generally can go about 100 and still get the same fuel economy as these pre-DPFs. But if you go on a pre-DPF, yeah, 95 is about the maximum you can go to keep that fuel economy good. Next.
Is that busted or not?
I don't know, that's also a semi-busted.
50-50.
Yep.
All right. Are these the heaviest ute on the market?
Yeah, this is a real funny one. And 4-wheel drive 24/7, I reckon, is to blame for this. Whenever somebody came on their show with a 70, they'd call it the big rig, the heavy rig. They kept referring to them as these big, heavy objects. Yet, they're not. In the specs, I'll run through the figures. I don't have it in that section, do I, or do I?
Yeah, you've got the weights here.
Yeah, so I've got the weights. So what are they, Ash?
So, from factory, the cruisers come in at 2,215 kilos.
Yep, so that's without a tray.
2.2 tonne.
So allow a tray 150, 200 kilos. Most people go aluminium.
All right, the Rangers.
Yep.
2.4 tonne.
Yep, so roughly about the same as that.
And the 300 series, 2.6.
So it's way lighter than the 300 series, which is that station wagon. So there you go, guys. Yeah, that one's definitely busted. They are not a big, heavy car. Yet they have a big, massive V8 engine in them. So the rest of the car's light and they're steel. So they should be heavy, but they're just not. Next.
That's it.
That's it. That's all the myths busted.
That's all the ones that we noted.
Okay, so comment below if there's any other myths that you think I've missed that you want me to answer. But on to the next segment, Ash. What's the next one?
The next one is
Tech specs.
the tech.
Okay, Ash.
Now the cruiser's heavy.
I'm not that heavy.
Heavier than the 300 series now.
Into the tech specs.
All right, so we got the approach angle.
Yep, so you'll rattle these off and I'll sort of talk about what they are. Whoa, almost fell
What,
off.
you can't remember these off the top of your head?
No.
Jeez. All right, so the cruiser's approach angle is 33 degrees.
Yep.
Compared to the Ranger, which is 30.
Yep.
And the 300, which is 32.
So approach angle is basically, remember this is without a bull bar on it. The bull bar will increase that massively, but your approach angle is basically when you hit an object, the angle between the object and the front of the car. So how much degrees slope you can go up before something hits the car. Next one.
So the bigger the degrees, the better?
Correct. So the cruiser wins.
Okay. Departure angle.
Is same thing but on the rear. So basically hitting the tray, and the departure angle will massively come down to if you have a tow ball or what tray you have fitted. But anyway.
All right, so I should go the other way. So 300 series is 25 degrees.
Yep.
Ranger is 23.
Yep.
And Cruiser is 27.
So the Cruiser
So
wins again.
Cruiser wins again.
That's 2 for 2. Next one.
All right, ground clearance.
Yep. So the ground clearance is basically, as I mentioned, they sort of, I'm sure they probably use lasers or something these days, but back in the old day, they'd wheel something under the car and see what hits and what height it is. So this is where everyone sort of says the hangers sit really low and you're going to get hung up on them. Let's see, is the Cruiser got the worst ground clearance?
All right, so 300 series is 245 mil.
Yep.
Ranger 230 mil or 34 mil.
So the Ranger's winning so far?
No,
No.
300 is.
300's winning? Shit, really?
And then ground clearance for the Cruiser is 283 mil.
So it wins?
Yes.
By a long way.
Yes.
60 versus 80, right? Something
40,
like
83 versus 45.
No way. So it massively smashes the other two. So anybody who's sitting there whinging about the hangers, yeah, get over it. It's got way more ground clearance. Next one.
Just get over it, eh? Ramp over angle.
Yep. So this is basically, I know this is going to win because as you guys can see, they sit very high up on top of the wheels. So the ramp over angle is basically when you go over something, how big that angle can be before the basic car scrapes on it.
All right, so the 300 series and the Ranger,
Yep.
21 degrees.
Other than the same.
Cruiser, 26 degrees.
So it wins.
So it wins. Tick.
How much? How much does it win by?
5.
5 degrees.
Yep.
What's that, Lash? Do you know? You're a teacher. What's 5 degrees?
Not a maths teacher. Power from factory.
Yep. And then I've also added in here. So we've had it tuned by Just Auto. So we've got a multi-mapping system. If you do buy one of these, you're definitely going to want to get it tuned if you're towing or even if you're driving it. They're not very fun to drive untuned, are they, Ash?
No.
Okay. So run through all the figures for everyone.
All right, so 300 from factory is 227 kilowatt.
Yep.
The Ranger is 184 kilowatt.
Gee, so the 300 beats the Ranger.
It does. And then the Cruiser from factory is 151.
So really
kilowatt.
far down, but the next one below I give the tuned.
And then if they are tuned, it can pop out 230 kilowatt.
So it wins.
So more than the 300.
And that, guys, is just a moderate tune. So all we've done is exhaust, airbox and snorkel. We've done nothing else. And that's a really super safe, moderate tune to still keep the longevity in these cars. And it smashes everything. So that's if versus the Ranger is tuned to its bloody eyeballs. Not many people want to touch them aftermarket tuning because there's not much left in them. And the 300 series, they can get a little bit more out of them, but again, they can't get too much as it's really heavily tuned as well. So this wins in the power. If you get it tuned with still staying really well and truly underneath, you can get way more than that out of them. Next.
All right, torque.
Torque, which is the important one for towing.
So from factory again, the 300 is 700 Newton meters.
Yep.
The Ranger is 600 Newton meters and the Cruiser is 430 Newton meters.
So from factory it loses.
From factory, yep.
fair
But
bit.
then if it is tuned,
Yep.
750
So brings it up to the top, but it's only, what, 50 Newton meters below the 300?
above.
Yeah, above, sorry.
Yep.
But that shows, again, the 300 is really heavily tuned, where these, even with that tune on it, just isn't.
EGS when you're not towing.
What's EGS as?
I don't know.
So it should be EGT.
Well, I didn't type this, did I?
So your exhaust temperatures, this is a really, really important one if you plan on towing. So your EGTs is basically, you sort of measure your exhaust temperatures to see how hard your engine's working. Man, these bad boys. So with the tune, untowing and towing, I've got the figures. So untowing, what are we sort of seeing engine temperatures?
So, not towing.
Yep.
Untowing. Good language. Good English.
Anyway, come on, man.
150 to 200 degrees.
Which is nothing, and towing,
And towing is 200 to 350.
which is nothing. So 750, 700 is where you want to pull over and give your car a rest. From lots of hip campers coming here that have Rangers, and a couple of 300 owners that have stayed here as well, they've let us know that they're sitting, so the Ranger sits around 650 towing, and that's constant. And then there's a couple of times it's got to 690 and people have had to pull over. So the Rangers definitely run very hot when they're towing, versus the 300, I believe I was hearing 600 they sort of sit at. but both of them actually then have problems with their gearboxes overheating. So manual gearbox versus auto, the autos just unfortunately overheat. And everybody that we've had, every hip camper has said that their Rangers and 300s get hot and have to pull over either because of the EGTs or because of the transmission. Versus this bad boy just is not working. That's why you get the V8, because pulling a 3-ton Caravan, it's still not working whatsoever.
All right, load capacity.
Yep.
So 300 series is 650 kilos.
Yep.
Ranger 950, and the Cruiser 1085.
Ooh. Remember, the Cruiser though, you do need to factor in a tray, about 150, 200 kilos for a tray. So it brings it down closer to the Ranger, but still wins, I believe.
Yep. GCM.
There's some figures coming up here which are really interesting.
Okay, GCM.
Yep.
So
GCM is gross combined, give me that face, I need to explain what it is. Gross combined mass. So that's the total that you can tow and load your car up to. So GCM.
Okay, 300 series, 6.7 ton.
Yep.
Ranger, 6.4. Cruiser, 6.8.
Yeah, biggest. Now it gets really interesting with, is the next one the...
Tow capacity.
Yep, tow capacity. So this is the tow capacity I've worked out. If you fully load your car up, if you go to GVM on your car, how much you can then tow. This is the really important one for you guys to hear, because this is if you've already bought the car. You can't do a pre-rego engineering on it. So what can you tow if they're all loaded, Ash?
So 300 series, 3.4.
So you can't do your 3.5, that's it.
Ranger,
This is really bad.
3.
So you lose 500 kilos of towing capacity if you fill your Ranger up. Versus Ash, the trusty Steed, what can it do if you load it?
3.5.
The only one that can still pull 3.5 tonne if you load it to maximum payload. Hands down, there you go, got it in the bag, best vehicle for towing. Because all the rest, you can't actually pull what they say they can if you load them up. So if you plan on loading up your vehicle, which with the 300 series you're going to, because the payload was, 600 kilos. Mm-hmm. So a full family, you're pretty much full anyway. Mm-hmm. And then you can't pull your 3.5 tonne van. So yeah, that shows you. Is there any other specs that I've got there?
That's it.
So that shows you, hands down, smashes, so far it's smashing everything. So yeah, if you're looking for a vehicle to tow. Okay, should we get into now our personal opinions, the good and bad things?
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the good first. Ash, this review's taken way too long, so we're going to do rapid fire. What's the good?
Reliability.
Yep, reliability, 100%. I've seen these, 1 million kilometres on car sales? Mm-hmm. A few of them at 1 million, but you see plenty 700 plus. So yeah, reliability, hands down.
Comfortable.
Yep, comfortable, I reckon, if you're sitting there. So the funny thing is, by not being able to go the speed limit, the stress breaks down because you're not worrying about getting caught speeding, and you just sit there and you just chill out. So I'm going to say, yeah, I reckon they're comfortable cruisy car just to drive around in.
Safety.
Ash, your microphone's definitely not going to be working well like that.
It's right next to my mouth.
Yeah, so safety, I'm going to say 100%. We're in a head-on collision, 100 kilometres an hour, because of the fact that these sit so high above the wheels. We used the car as a ramp and we survived. So I'm going to say safety, hands down, because they sit so high. And then full steel as well.
Effort towing, no effort towing.
Yeah, so going up, anybody that lives around Brisbane, sort of Queensland area, you'll be famous, you'll know the Gateway Bridge. 3-ton Caravan, towing up the Gateway, 5th gear, no issues. So towing, I reckon, yeah, they just make a meal of it. As long as it's sort of 3-ton, I reckon if you go above 3-ton, then you're going to feel it a lot more.
Seating position.
Yep, seating position, as I touched on before, that right angle of the legs and the fact that your hands sit nice in front of you, it's not up, it's not down. I just think the seating position on these are superb.
Low capacity.
Yep, as I pointed out, low capacity it wins, and then your towing
GCM.
capacity at GCM also it wins. So definitely hands down, good point.
And it's rough and ready.
Yeah, so that's something I didn't touch on. So the way that the front is, the way that the car's done inside, everyone sort of whinges that they're very rough, basic interiors, but they're just strong, aren't they? Like it's a farm truck, so you throw stuff in it and it doesn't scratch up as easy. You're not as precious with it. The interior is designed to be rough, so you're just not as precious, you're not as concerned, versus all these new cars with all the really nice shiny surfaces that scratch if you breathe on them. It just doesn't have any of that. So yeah, the inside, rough and ready.
Yep, that's it.
That's it? You got any other good things to point out?
No, it's raining.
It's hardly raining. Okay, into the bad.
No! God, please, no! No!
Okay, yep, into the bad. Let's go, Ash.
All right, max speed 95 on
Yeah.
33-inch wheels.
Yeah, so with us running the 33s, yeah, 95 is basically the furthest you can push it before you start chewing a lot of fuel and that engine gets really loud. So that sucks. I would love to have a 6th gear. But you can put an auto in them. 8-speed auto. If you're watching 8-speed auto, I'd gladly do a product review if you want to sponsor me with a automatic transmission.
Yep. Bad fuel around town.
Yeah, definitely that has to be put in as a bad one. If you live in Noosa, where a lot of these live, you're going to be getting rubbish fuel economy. So I wouldn't recommend buying one if you're going to be driving a majority of its life around town, which unfortunately is going to be us in the future, Ash.
Yeah. You got noise around town as well.
Oh, the noisy, like the engine's noisy. Yep, yeah, that's true. The engine is noisy when you're in compared to another car.
But then everyone looks at you when you drive past.
Yeah, you can put the foot down and Whoa, what was that? What was that?
Long gear shifts.
Yeah, this is definitely a bad one. Again, you can fix it. That's the upside with these cars. There's just so many different stuff. As Lloyd used to say, you can go down the milk bar and pick parts up. So it does have a long throw on the gear shift, and it definitely feels like a tractor when you're changing gears, tractor or truck. It is just a massive throw that involves a fair bit of energy and is super slow and you lose all your momentum. So you can buy a short shifter for them, which isn't much, like $100, and then it fixes that up.
All right. Bad turning circle that we've touched on.
Yeah, the bad turning circle that's got to be added in as a bad.
And you got bumpy on rough roads.
Yeah, so if you're with the solid axle, if you go on a rough road, yeah, you're going to feel it. It throws you everywhere. But then the upside is you go four-wheel driving, you're not going to break it. The 300 series or any IFS, funny enough, the 300s and 200s seem the worst for it, I'm assuming because they're so heavy. But yeah, you take an IFS off-road and lift a wheel, there's a good chance you break that front axle versus this, no problem. So it's a bad, good and a bad.
Okay, last one is the overhang of the tray.
Yeah, so I guess we may as well show that because it's caused damage to both our Caravan and your horse float. So if you look at the tow ball, it basically sits in line with your tray. And this is only, I think it's a 1600 tray, not even a full 1800. So if you went a full 1800, it gets worse. Where a lot of your utes, the tow ball, that part of the tow ball actually sits out past the tray. So what have you done, Ash, to our Caravan?
I may have
Come on, man, this is rapid round.
scratched it slightly.
So you broke the front stone guard thing.
It's replaceable.
And on your horse float, what'd you do?
Just the front toolbox. That's
Bent that
replaceable
in as well with the tray. So yeah, it basically restricts how sharply you can turn the car when you're reversing or driving into somewhere with the Caravan, because the corner of the tray will hit into your car. So again, you can easily fix that. You can get a tongue that sits out longer, which we haven't been bothered. We just make sure somebody's watching whenever you're doing sharp corners. But yeah, that's fixable as well. Anything else?
That's it.
That's the bad. Let's get into the wrap up and thoughts, Ash.
Let's do it.
I am thinking here.
Okay, wrap up and thoughts. So one thing we didn't touch on is the back seat. So a lot of people sort of say that there's not much room. I honestly don't think it's much different to most dual cab utes. The seat's horrifically uncomfortable, but that's the same with dual cab utes as well. You have a lot more headroom. The big advantage to it is the front seats actually sit down lower, so you can actually see over the front seat. So for kids, it's brilliant for them to be able to still see out the window. But yeah, I don't think the rear seats is as big as people sort of say. Thoughts? We've looked at replacing it because we sort of sat there and gone, oh, you know, the V8 is a bit annoying. But since doing those decibel tests, now I sit there and go, well, there's no point in replacing it because you're just going to have the road noise. And honestly, we haven't been able to find anything to beat it with the numbers, with the effortless towing, the reliability. So we think, would you agree, that this is actually the best all-round tow and off-road vehicle?
Yep, 100%.
Because if you go an American truck, you lose the reliability, and the parts become an issue, so that goes into reliability. Man, you wouldn't want to cross the Simpson Desert, because if you need to get a part somewhere out in the bush, good luck, it's going to take you months upon months. Versus you can get parts for this pretty much anywhere. You go to Cape York, there's parts sitting up at Cape York for them. Yeah, we just think for an all-in package, there's nothing better.
No.
The numbers showed you, as I said, reliability, four-wheel driving, towing. It's, yeah, you're not going to beat a cruiser. So that's why we thought to do this video. Show you guys, anybody that's sort of sitting there going, what should they buy? Man, go pick up a pre-DPF. Get one with 200,000 Ks. We're sitting on, what, 188? And it's still got majority of its life left. It's still, what, a toddler.
Pretty much.
Yep. So, hands down, we both recommend one of these. Unless if you're not going to be doing wheeling, then you may look at an American truck for just an outright towing vehicle. But if you plan on doing any off-road, recommend one of these. That'll wrap it up, Ash. What do they got to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Anything else?
And Instagram.
What do they got to do on Instagram?
Follow.
Follow me on Instagram. Any comments you have, chuck them below. And yeah, give me a like, give me a subscribe, it really helps. And we'll see what else I keep coming up with for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, something a bit different.
No discount code for this one?
Unfortunately, no, Toyota didn't want to give me a discount. Toyota, you should be giving me a discount code. If I sell a hell of a lot of these, well, they can only get the 4 cylinders now. Don't go the 4 cylinders. Crap.
Yeah.
See you guys.